Hey, it's Barça here, and in today's video I'm going to be discussing how Pedri went from being a talented young kid at Las Palmas that nobody knew to a world-class midfielder at 19 years old who's one of Barcelona's most impactful players. Throughout his youth, Pedri has always been one of Spain's most talented kids, and so a lot of big clubs were interested in him. When he was 16 years old, he even had a trial at Real Madrid. Los Blancos didn't consider him talented enough though, so he never got to play for them and had to search for another professional club. So he signed for UD Las Palmas, who were in the Spanish second division. There, in the 2019-2020 season, which was his first professional season, he impressed everyone and was one of the team's star players at only 17 years of age. The big clubs saw this of course, and FC Barcelona had already even closed a deal with him in September, at the beginning of the season. He would come over in July 2020. At this point, Barcelona fans were quite excited, since this was a youngster who seemed to be something special. He basically played like Iniesta in between full-grown men as a 17-year-old. That was only in the Spanish second division, so he still had to prove a lot once he arrived at Barcelona in 2020. During pre-season, he immediately proved that Barcelona wasn't level too high for him. Sure, it was clear that he wasn't the finished product yet, but for his age, the maturity that he played with was remarkable. The craziest thing is that he had only just arrived at the club, and was already playing as if he had been playing there for the past 10 years. This was special because adapting to Barcelona is not an easy thing to do. Even world-class players like Ibrahimovic, Griezmann and Coutinho have never been able to fully adapt. And this was a 17-year-old guy who didn't even come through Barcelona's own youth ranks. It definitely seemed like the Blaugrana had signed a diamond here. Then the season started, and after the first few games, Pedri wasn't even a rotational player anymore. He was regularly in the starting lineup. He could perfectly play in Barcelona's midfield in La Liga and Champions League games against players who had already done so their whole career. He didn't score a lot of goals or provide a lot of assists, but that's not a real problem when you're a midfielder. Andres Iniesta himself, who was Pedri's idol, was the same kind of player. It wasn't about the statistics, rather about the beautiful technique and effortlessly playing the game. Pedri had this too, so naturally people started comparing him to Iniesta. If you think about it, that must have been something. Just imagine the pressure you feel if you're 18 years old and playing for FC Barcelona and you're being compared to your idol, who is one of the greatest players of all time. For some young players, the media attention and comparisons to other players are detrimental and have never reached their true potential because of this. Bojan, a Barca youth product who could have become a Messi level player, never made it for that reason. But for Pedri, this only seemed to work in his favor. Throughout the season, he even established a partnership with Messi on the field that was absolutely deadly. It was clear that this player, who already had world-class vision and passing and could retain the ball like a pro, was going to be big. So, in his first season, he definitely made a name for himself. The only critique he got was not turning up in the big matches, which was true for a part. In the Clásicos that season and against PSG and Juventus at home, Barca lost and Pedri was one of those players that just went through the motions without doing anything special. These were only some games though. Most games he played, he stood out with his brilliant technique. He was great against PSG and Juventus away, so maybe it just needed a little more consistency. When the club season was over, Euro 2020 came around the door, and Pedri got called up for the Spanish national team. Before the tournament, it was unclear whether he was going to be a starter because of all the competition on the Spanish midfield. But even though there were experienced world-class midfielders like Thiago and Koke, he was always in the starting lineup. At 18 years of age, he was a reliable midfielder that did everything that Spain manager Luis Enrique was looking for. During the Euros, Spain struggled in their first two games, but then they started to play gorgeous football. In all of their games after those first two, they played dominantly and they won the midfield battle every time. The only problem they had was finishing the chances that players like Pedri provided, and largely because of that they got eliminated by Italy in the semi-finals. Pedri had played a huge part in getting La Roja that far, and a lot of Spain's big chances came from his feet. After the tournament, he got named the best young player of the tournament, which he completely deserved. And all this at the age of 18. Everyone had always said he was exceptional for his age, but at this point he wasn't only exceptional for his age, he was just exceptional as a football player in general. After already having played so many games that season, he even still went to the Olympics with the Spanish national team. At this point, many were questioning whether he shouldn't be rested. And after the Olympics, and also having still played for Barcelona at the beginning of the season in August, he finally got some rest. When he came back, he got straight back into the starting lineup, but on the 16th of September he picked up an injury to the hamstring which ruled him out for 2 weeks. The worst still had to come though. They rushed him back and on the 30th of September he had a relapse and picked up the same injury, which was now going to rule him out for about 100 days. This was a huge blow, definitely for a young player like Pedri who was improving all the time, and so he didn't get any playing time for the rest of 2021. During that period though, he also won the Golden Boy Award, the award for the best young player in the world, previously won by the likes of Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappé and Lionel Messi. This was definitely deserved given all the progress he had made throughout the year. It's crazy to think that that same player played in the Spanish 2nd division just 2 years earlier. Fast forward to January 2022, Pedri recovered from his injury and also under Xavi, he became a starting 11 player. During the following months though, he would make an even more incredible amount of progress than the year before. He had always been a reliable midfielder with great passing who could retain the ball, but now he started to add new things to his game. His already great vision and passing improved, his positioning did too, and so did his defending. The craziest of all is that he started to add goals to his repertoire. And these were not just normal goals. Now he could shoot from distance, not with raw power, but with pinpoint accuracy. And apart from that, his fake shot was devastating. He left defenders on the ground as if it was normal. By March 2022, he was one of Barcelona's most important players at 19 years old. From this point on, people started to consider him amongst the best midfielders in the world. In the big games he turned up to, and was an absolute nightmare to play against, even if your name was Luka Modric. On the 14th of April though, he had another injury to his hamstring, which was a real shame given the level he was playing at and the progress he was making. After Pedri had gotten injured, it was clear that Barcelona weren't as good anymore. With him, they ran rampant in La Liga and destroyed every team on their path, including Champions League winners Real Madrid. After his injury, the team didn't create as many chances anymore and the circulation of the ball wasn't as fluent. In 2 years' time, Pedri had become an indisputable starter and essential player for the Blaugrana. He has always been compared to Iniesta and he's not quite on his level yet, but he's getting closer and closer. The crazy thing is that Andres Iniesta wasn't that good at that age. Maybe there's never been a 90-year-old midfielder who was that good. After he had recovered from injury, Pedri joined the Blaugrana on their preseason tour in the US for the 2022-23 season. And he still showed the same level. Also in the Joan Gamper trophy against Pumas he played brilliantly, combining his creativity with scoring goals. Where have you heard that before? Of course, that's only pre-season, but he definitely picked up where he left off. This season he might improve even more, and the question is how long it will last before he's considered the best midfielder in the world. Right now, there's maybe a couple more midfielders still better than him, like De Bruyne or Kimmich. That might not be the case anymore very quickly though. With the rest of the Barcelona team improving as well, they're more likely to win trophies too, with Pedri as an instrumental player. Given he's 19 and already this good and still improving, the question is maybe not when he will be the best midfielder in the world, but rather the world's best player. He'll definitely win the Ballon d'Or one day if you ask me. And when you're looking at how Barcelona look right now, you might not have to wait that long for him to be at that level. Maybe Iniesta will get surpassed by his successor one day. That was it for today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and feel free to share your own opinion on Pedri in the comments down below. Força Barça and have a good day.